This is not a test, but it is working, and therefore, hello and welcome back to the next episode of the Self-Development with Tactics podcast. I do think that I'm going to just let it be like I'm doing it right now, so you can definitely see that I'm a little bit more away from my PC. Therefore, you can probably see a little bit more of, first of all, the background, and second of all, of me. I do not know if you're so interested in the background, but you can definitely see me more and my gestures and whatever I'm doing here, which is totally great. The only downside of it is that you actually can see my fucking phone so fucking big, which is maybe not that nice. Even though I do have to say that if I would have a microphone, it would probably be the same thing. But yeah, so I'll just try to not be in the way, or just try to the phone not being in the way. But as you might know, or as you can think of, and also probably because you can't see anything in the background because I don't know, the window isn't some kind of chosen and therefore it doesn't show it and whatever. But we are going ahead with the Millionaire interview, which is at my point of view a quite great way to do these videos because I think it is interesting, and there are quite a lot of these interviews, so I'll probably go through a few of them. I don't know, maybe I'll just go through one or two or three and then I get bored of it, which could totally be the case, I don't know. But I do just recall something. Wait a minute. I have to wear a fucking cap. Yeah, should be fine. Looks even more dumb, I would say, than without one. But never mind. I don't give a fuck. Fucking hell. It's always a little bit of a problem when you're just pretty much living besides the street. Because it's pretty loud there. Especially, or even though you're having windows and they're closed and whatsoever, you can totally hear them anyway. But yeah, I think we should go on with the actual video. I'm actually today recording only with one screen, which is, I think, great. I do like it a little bit more than also having the TV in front of me being turned on, because I kind of feel like, okay, it's so much fucking light, especially when it's quite in the evening. That is quite like burning my fucking eyes. But the thing is, I do quite need it because instead I would be just really, really dark, which is also not that great. But yeah, we will go ahead with investing. As I know, I hope I'm doing this right. If not, we will probably lose a few minutes, but I think it should be okay, I think. Yeah, it should be okay. So invest. What is your investment philosophy or plan? And the answer is budget. Save first, reduce expenses where you can, and then invest. Do a little, even, but do it consistently. And I do think this is quite a great advice because yeah, it makes sense actually to budget a little bit, not just really investing everything, even though it's investing and you should probably get something out of it just in a matter of time. But I would say just spending your money anywhere isn't also good as well, especially if you do not quite know what you're doing. Then you should first of all just check everything out and learn everything, at my point of view, or have a little bit of a clue, or play, quote unquote, with a little bit of money, not just going in with your whole wage or whatever, or your whole savings. I do just think that some people are actually doing this, but I don't know. But yeah, makes sense. What has been your best investment? Small office building purchased into, I think, yeah, we have gone through this already. The retail store as well. But what has been your overall return? The overall right about 10%, with tax savings maybe 12%, which is, sorry. Oh my god. I'm sorry. Today is quite a crazy day, I would say. Actually, I do just have to tell you something. It is always quite interesting and always quite a little bit not difficult, but somehow different when I do just, record something after the day that I've recorded nothing on. Because yesterday was actually a day I've recorded nothing on, because I do just, record everything beforehand so that I can actually just do stuff with my girlfriend because she had her birthday and so on and so on. Went in the casino, actually won some kind of 10 euros somehow, which is for me quite a great, because but it's always a little bit strange, isn't it, if you're just getting invited to something and everything gets paid for you, and then you practically win 10 euros and then you kind of exchange it for the real money, so the little coins for the real money, and then you just pretty much go away with more money than you came with. So basically, I kind of felt a little bit stupid in the way of not feeling too good about it. I first of all thought about giving it to my girlfriend or whatsoever, but I think at the end everybody would have said no and whatsoever, and it would be a little bit cringy, and I don't know. I'll save it, I think, which is also a great way to use this money. But yeah, so 12% is, I think, pretty good. If you just think about okay, you're spending 1,000. Yeah, it would be $120, which is definitely something, but it's only, quote unquote, only $1,000. So how often do you monitor or review your portfolio? Probably a couple of times each week. We don't pay much attention to the market stuff, it moves around. I pay more attention to cash flow, projections, and looking for properties. So basically, I think it is just for him something that's quite, besides what he's already doing. He's just investing a little bit and he's just doing his real estate work a little bit and whatsoever. I do think this is quite, the thing is, me saying, okay, this is a great way to do life whatsoever is totally wrong, because it might be the best way for him, but all the other people, all the other people are actually just willing to do something else, or it wouldn't work for them because it's not fun for them, or it wouldn't work for them because they do not have the knowledge in these certain areas, and so on and so on. So there are quite a lot of factors that play into actually this not quite working. But yeah, the net worth. How did you accumulate your net worth? No inheritances for me. My partner inherited 300k last year from her mother's estate. We happily live below our means and we've always lived on a budget. Neither of us spend money on things we cannot afford. As a young man, I read The Millionaire Next Door and adopted those frugal principles. I drove all the vehicles but took care of them. Until 6 years ago, I drove a 1997 Toyota Land Cruiser that I bought for 17k. She has always had a company car. We saved the money we could have spent on expensive cars. Since I was in my late 20s, I've kept at least 6 to 12 months of expenses in cash account. Having money in the bank and low expenditures has given me the ability to act when lucrative opportunities presented themselves, which is, I think, totally great. Totally. If you just think about okay, he has a lot of money, but he's just not using it because maybe it's just not fun for him, or maybe he just wants to live the life this way. And I do, at this point of view, also do not want to say, okay, you should totally do it yourself. You should, save everything, and you should just pretty much live like shit, even though you can buy yourself nice, fancy stuff whatsoever. Do it if you feel like this is making you happy. But spoiler, I think it won't make you happy, because having all this shitty materialistic stuff is just unnecessary most of the time, and it might give you a little bit of an endorphin boost, and it might give you a little bit of a great feeling if you're having it, but most of the time this really goes down pretty quickly. The exact same thing if you're buying something small, I don't know, new shoes or whatsoever. The first few times you'll think about it those are so nice and whatsoever, but after a year or two, or however or how long you're actually having your shoes, they kind of feel like normal, and there's nothing just incredible about them. Therefore, which was actually an advice that was standing in a book or an article, I don't remember correctly, but nevertheless, they said, or he said, or she said, or whatever, that you should actually spend your money for experiences or on experiences, rather than on just materialistic stuff. And why? Because experiences are something that actually can last your whole life long. I don't know, think about your first vacation and think about your first own vacation. Think about the best moments in a vacation. I think you totally can think about more things that somehow have to do something with a vacation than actually with some materialistic shit. And this is the point. And I think it is a great point. But I do, on the other hand side, think that if you just really want to have a Ferrari, if you just really want to have that Rolex, buy it. But do not just dwell around afterwards or complain about not having any money if you buy just stupid fancy shit like this. If you want it and if you can do it and whatsoever, and it's not just, I don't know, leading you to getting in debt, then do it. But if no, or if not, or if everything that I've just said is negative, please don't do it. It wouldn't be just smart, at my point of view at least. But yeah, I've been lucky to surround myself with good accountants, attorneys, etc. Being able to take advantage of a tax laws is a huge part of growing wealth. Even the little bits add up. SEP contributors, HSA contributors, strategic spending on equipment, etc. Having a team to help is vital no matter how much money you have. Philosophically, I have always enjoyed growing my net worth more than spending my earnings. Also, I have a healthy fear of being broke, and this is totally something that I'm feared of as well. So therefore, I'm just not spending anything, quite on anything, and I even feel guilty for actually buying myself food, and that's just no joke. I really feel bad about just really buying food that might be a little bit more expensive than some other food. And then I'm thinking like, okay, I should have chosen the other one, even though, it was practically the same thing that I ate yesterday and the day before and the day before and the day before, but it is cheaper. And I always think about the money. It's just incredible how much I think about the money in terms of actually saving some money. Everything that I quite buy is just like, I don't want to spend too much money on it. I'm always just searching for things that somehow are on a budget, definitely. And this is something that I quite like because I do not have anything or any problems with money or having too less money. I'm saving quite a lot, and it's just moving down. But yeah. I've been fortunate to keep the company of like-minded people, and I met a like-minded girl a few years back, and she's great. I have nice things, a nice guitar, a nice truck, a great bicycle. I pay for my son's state school education. I give to charity. We both get a bigger kick out of being active and on our bikes than buying the latest greatest new object. One more thing, we have many friends and many don't have the same financial means as us. It's nice to live in a way that nobody really knows about your finances. It's entertaining to watch others do that though. The funny thing is, at my point of view at least, I don't know how you're thinking about it. So if you're thinking about it in a certain way, please let me know. Just, kind of text me or just, write me a DM on Instagram or something, or on Twitter or on Facebook, or whatever platform you are. I'm just on every single one. Quite. Just text me and tell me how you're thinking about it. Do you think that you should actually just live the way you could, based on your finances, or are you more like a guy like him or a girl like him that is basically just living way below their means, or way below his or her means, just because of some reasons, or something. But in my point of view, I do always think that most of the time people that do not quite have the money are actually looking pretty rich, and people who do have the money are looking just really poor, quote unquote poor. But this is something that I quite often recognize. I would say that most of the time people who do not have the money have new cars, whether it's a good car or a just expensive car or not. They have a new one, or at least one that is a little bit more expensive than something that's somehow correlated to their wealth. And often all these just rich people do have something that's either the same or quite something that's actually not that much or not that expensive as the other person's one. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe this is something that's just that I think it is, and I'm just thinking about it so hard that it actually seems to be like this, which is also totally something that's quite, I don't know, fucked up maybe. What would you say is your greatest strength in the ESI wealth building model? Earn, save, or invest. And why would you say it's top? And we've been sort of equal in all parts maybe. Saving is key though, no matter what you make, save a little. Totally great advice, and I would say so. But the thing is, there are people who can generate a lot of money, and there are people who actually can save a lot of money or can save efficiently. And I'm definitely one that's saving a lot. I'm quite not able to make a lot, at least now. I will be, definitely, I hope. But I'm quite liking the saving game, yeah. I'm not liking the maybe entrepreneurial style thing. I'm more like, okay, I'm saving something and just this adds up and adds up and adds up. And someday it somehow just creates a great wealth for me because I've just saved up so many times or so often or for so many years or whatever it is. What road bumps did you face along the way to becoming a millionaire, and how did you handle them? I've previously mentioned divorce and closing a business. Those were tough. In my late 30s, I was forced to face a drinking problem that had quite crept into my life. No arrests, no visible damage to the outside world. Addiction doesn't always march into the front door and make a pronouncement that it's arrived. It creeps in and manifests in depression and isolation. I had this awesome life and I was missing out on the moments. I'm grateful that at 40 I got sober. I only share this to show that there is no shame in it. Stigmas kill people. This bump, quote unquote bump as he says, turned out to be the best thing that ever happened. My son has no recollection of me drinking. I'm so grateful. What are you currently doing to grow your net worth? I just try to be consistent. I'm always scouting properties. I'm always working with my team at work. I listen to podcasts on investing, mostly real estate, and I try to buy at least a couple of properties each year. I'm about to join an entrepreneurial focus group in Toronto to stay sharp. I think it's totally interesting that even millionaires listen to some podcasts on investing and they search for groups and whatsoever. So you can probably see that maybe if you are not a millionaire, you can totally do the same things as a millionaire, which is totally great. And this is, I think, one of the reasons why the internet is such a great thing. We do have the opportunity to do so much that we couldn't a few years ago. I'm also in the music business, where everybody can put out music. I could as well. I could just put out music on Spotify and or SoundCloud and all these shit if I want to. And this is the same thing with the podcast, I wouldn't be able to just do the podcast or a radio show or whatsoever 10 years ago if I would have been like the same age. But I just wouldn't be able to because I don't know, I do not have access to any radio station or to any recording settings or whatsoever. But I think the recording itself wouldn't have been the problem that much. Buying microphones and buying a PC and whatsoever wouldn't be that complicated or that expensive as well. But actually just somehow publishing the whole shit is, I think, the key. Some years ago there were radio stations and then nothing. So you would have to just, I think, get up to the radio stations and at least just work for them to just pretty much be able to be a moderator or whatever it is actually called on a show. And then it is actually not your show. But But I don't know. I do not have any clue about the radio business. I do only know that everybody nowadays can actually make theirs in terms of a podcast and whatsoever, and it's fairly easy and it is free and you do not quite need anything but yourself and quite a topic that you're enthusiastic about. Do you have a target net worth you are trying to attain? Great question. I don't plan to retire. I sort of have the life I want. We discussed how much was enough. Not sure. I have a new charity that I'm passionate over. I just want to continue with good activities, and the money will take care of itself. I can't control markets. I can't control activities. How old were you when you made your first million, and have you had any significant behavior shifts since then? I was 39. Lol. Okay. Lol. Okay, this is funny. I do not quite think that he actually said this, but never mind. Lol. Okay, this is funny. I bought a 7-year-old Porsche. Actually Porsche, because it's a German word and you do not just say Porsche. There is an E. Porsche. Carrera C4, 28k miles. Flew to Vegas and drove it home through Utah, Colorado, and great experience. I kept it for 2 years and put maybe 5,000 miles on it. It sat in the garage mostly. My dog couldn't ride in it. I couldn't take my son fishing in it. I didn't get mad when he put his feet on the dash. It was tiny. I sold it and I have had a truck since. I don't miss it one bit. But otherwise, no changes in behaviors. What money mistakes have you made along the way that others can learn from? Don't get distracted with shiny object syndrome. Totally great advice, I would say. There's so many people, and I quite have somehow touched it just before. I think most of the people are just really interested in the shiny things. The problem is, why? And I do think social media is one of the reasons why actually this happened, because you can totally see all the fucking time any shiny objects, any fancy shit, new cars, new clothes, new shoes, new whatever. And I think by spreading this has made it a little bit more like in the minds of the people. But thing is, don't buy this shit unless you can, unless it will totally make you happy and you need it. This is my point, and I, as I said, touched it before as well. So I do think saying you should never ever buy any fancy shit and whatsoever, I think is wrong, because it's just something that one guy said and that may be my opinion as well, but it shouldn't be yours. Only because I'm saying it doesn't mean that you should do it as well. It doesn't make any sense. But yeah. I actually quite see now that I quite fucked it up with the whole camera setting. I'm very sorry for it. Focus on one or two things and put your money into that. Diversifying investments is good, but get really good at a couple of things, and never open a retail store. Well. What advice do you have for ISE money readers on how to become wealthy? Don't stop learning ever. Read The Millionaire Next Door, Rich Dad Poor Dad, and so on. Get a good mentor and tax accountant. Understand the power of compounding interest. Stay fit and active and take care of your health, which is totally something that I want to spread a little bit more, and I want to just, underline a little bit more, because I think most of the people are actually not taking care of their health that much, especially in the entrepreneurial just spirit and whatsoever, or in that space. I do not know why, but I deeply believe, and I do think this is just facts, that your health is basically the fundamental for everything you're doing in your life. So therefore, having a good health is actually just really only supporting you with actually doing what you want to do. Something that I always recognize is when people are just quote unquote dwelling around actually being so tired because they haven't slept anything and whatsoever. And I'm thinking okay, I'm quite sleeping only 4 hours, and you shouldn't please do that 4 hours a night, because I have to do so much things, but I'm just really active anyways. I do just sometimes feel asleep when something is just really fucking boring. especially in the train, it's always a little bit of a a little bit of a fight with myself to actually not fall asleep. But I always just think about like, you know what? I'm not fucking tired, and I only slept 4 fucking hours. And I deeply believe in this just being. I deeply believe in just my eating habits and the way that I just have my nutrition set up and my activities set up is the reason why I'm actually so able to be so active and such in a great mood often and such in a active way so often, even though I haven't slept that much and even though something happened and even though whatsoever. I think this is just because I'm just eating only healthy shit most of the time. Sometimes I do have to eat something else, but I'm staying active. I'm doing my sports 3 times a week. Actually, Tuesday, Friday in school, and Sunday. I did just once step it up, but it quite turned out to me actually getting ill all the time, which is definitely something that I do not want to do. And especially with the work that I'm doing right now, it would just totally fuck me because it would be too much, I would say. Even though you do have to say, okay, your wealth, quite your wealth versus your health. Even though I do have to say, okay, 3 times a week just pretty much works quite fine for me. And I'm still just looking at what I'm eating, and therefore I just think that I really sustain a great health. But yeah, so I would definitely suggest to you, please think about what you're eating and that you're actually just having a little bit of a physical activity a few times a week. I do not quite want to say every single day, even though you could, basically. It's just about preferences, and this is totally a fact. That some people just do not want to do it because they're lazy or whatever they're doing. I don't know, but you can do it. You have 24 fucking hours a day and 168 a week. You can totally put in a few hours a week to actually work out. You just have to think about it like this. If you're just working out every single day for an hour, it is basically 7 hours a week, and you do have 168, if I do just, remember it correctly, which is fairly a lot. So you do then now have something like 152 or something. No, 55. No, 59, isn't it? I don't know, but yeah. Hang around people who enjoy what you enjoy. It is good for your brain and your body. My biking keeps me grounded because my buds and I like bikes. We don't care about Ferraris. A bike probably won't break the bank, even though they cost 6 to 10k now, which is fairly a lot, and which is definitely, I think, a pretty expensive hobby, and I think not everybody can do it. But if you want to, and if you do have the money, and if it's something that's really just supporting your life and your health and your happiness, why not? Don't assume that you can't try it. I wanted an office building for my business, and we settled for a small house and converted it into an office. It was a stretch financially. A client of mine encouraged me to do it, just buy it. I couldn't believe that I was able to have a building in the location I found this one. Amazing. We sold for a huge profit, and I have a better building, and it is paid for it. The point is that you can eventually, but you have to try, which is definitely also something that I deeply believe in. I often see and often recognize where people say, no, I can't. Sorry. I can't do this, and this is not something that I'm just knowledgeable in, and whatsoever, this stupid kind of shit, but it's quite not true. Let me see how I can fix this. But this is definitely not true. You can at least try. Even though I think you do just can just know your shortcomings and whatsoever. I do just have to hold it. But yeah, the point is you can. And the next time we're going ahead with the future, which is the last one, which is fairly, which is a bit. And I do think we will start in the next round as well another one, maybe if I'm just thinking about it, or just another book. Because yeah, I do hope that you enjoyed this episode. I do hope that I wasn't too quite how should I say, enthusiastic, a little bit too breathless, a little bit too, I don't know what, a little bit too different. I'm quite feeling something in my voice. I'm quite feeling something in the way that I'm speaking, which is fairly different than all the other times. I kind of feel like, but nevertheless, I wish you the best health, wealth, happiness, and success. And please do not forget about thinking your legacy and about giving back to the people that you are serving, maybe, and that you will serve in the future. With that being said, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I see you actually today again. I think I will actually record this afterwards, which is a little bit fucked up, to be honest, because it's already 4 o'clock, which is fairly late. Actually, 4:15. But I'll see you.